Diwan Imam Shafi'i. In the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Merciful. Surrendering to fate, God. Let the days that passed the work which you prefer if fate had decided it was tolerant you. Thou shalt not agitate it against calamity's night because no one was unfortunate that eternal. Strengthen yourself facing the temptations of life. Conscience and loyal man should be thy. Although like sea foam you disgrace among others, but your own secret man should always be stored. Close your secrets with generosity because supposedly all the odium to be closed with generosity. Do you look at your opponent's weakness because the mental strength of the opponent is a danger to you? Do you hope the generosity of people who miserly thirst because people who are not going to get the water in the fire? A delay will not reduce your fortune, and the fortune you would not be increased by exhaustion. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Planks. Nothing distress eternal joy none unknown indigence long-lasting prosperity. If your heart is always willing attitude to wait exists, then there is no difference for you between your own self and the wealthy. If death comes at you, then not an inch of earth nor a piece of the sky that can protect you. Land of God is very large, but someday if fate had come into a narrow space was. Let the days were not faithful at all times because any medication there also will ward off death. Value of prayer. Do you look down at the prayer to God? Know which is generated by a prayer? Like the arrows in the evening, he will not be missed, but he has no limits and any limits on time completion. The pain exam on. Many people talking on matters of women said to love a woman is living a painful examination. Love the woman is not living a painful ordeal. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. But nearby people who disliked that painful trials of life. Poet. I was late among those morons do not know the rights of poets to the head of trade for the tale. Human minds cannot be put together yet remain distinct, neither the literary problem nor counting problem. Much like gold ivories everything was yellow. But not all of gold have the same value. Wood and sandalwood when not fragrant smell cannot distinguish the sandalwood which is the firewood. The fate of prophet. Starvation, wild lion in the forest, and sheep meat wood dim dog. Sometimes lowly servant slave who slept on his ilk medium sleep noble nobleman in the dust. Symptoms aged, pious and charity. The passion goes out myself because of your hair grey up my hours became dark while the star shine. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. The owl which nested above the clod I was forcing my black crow flew so time. When you come to me because I reached the edge of your shelter is only the old houses. Do prosperous life after my side burns grey hair. Grey hair overwhelmed white and black polish no longer useful. When the yellowing skin and hair already graying hair wonderful days getting murky. Anyway. Leave it by your bad deeds because the cautious man should not do. Fulfill your charity for charity's position is like zakat if his calculations had enough do good to those independent and you can master it as well as possible the precious commodity is his job. Do not walk on the earth with the arrogant and cocky because of they no longer enter into too. Who was the world I want to taste the bitter. Taste and bitter world has been gathered in myself. The world I saw was deceit and falsehood. Much like a mirage that appears in the middle of the Sahara. World just smelling carcasses are eaten dog. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Puppy dog just wants tugging and tore. If you avoid it yourself you will be safe if you follow pulling means you scrambling with dogs. Fortunately for those whose houses like lit and closed its doors and also tightly the hangings. Good gracious and mind. If vermin scolded actually increased my dignity and all the shame that I receive because I also base. It's. If my soul is not more precious than myself undoubtedly I got it from the despised against him. If the I strive for my sake you will be seeing slowly I seek to But I tried to interest my friend feels shame because a full stomach in his medium hunger. The fool was told by all means bad he is increasingly witless as I get wiser like a burning sandalwood increasingly more fragrant. If you had pleased to serve you if you will let it be rotten. Bias and the future of injustice. I note the inhabitants of this world no one else. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Saw addition to those who are griping. Lodging a sword scabbard from contentment he cut my wishes do not expect the order of their. Who did not think I stood with him that this. Did not think sit with her. It is rich without possessions do not need other. Humans the real reason the rich is to not need anything. If an injustice considered a favor and wrongdoers was proud of all the bad temper. Then hand over it to the disaster come at night because it would attract other things unexpected. Often we see oppressors who defied la puzzled look on the star in the shadow of the vehicle. No longer waiting time he would not be aware of disaster unexpected calamity that was soon coming to him. Now there is no rank and wealth that can be expected that anyway nothing good advice advised can be found in his book. What does it do will reap the rewards of God was his torment and inflict painful punishment. Joke. Among the types of disasters is the person you loathe. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. He himself did not want to love you. He was opposed and hated frankly, medium through earnest because of his not often you visit. Do not believe too. Astrologers. Tell astrologers was that I did not believe what stars are saying. I just know that what we have and will happen is cadre and destiny of God that must be believed. Does not care. You have been enough for me you were already satisfy my heart and it was my behalf if it is right. I do not care when are you going to please me. While no application is disturbing forever while no application is disturbing forever. Deceptive appearance. If the noble fool I see in this world he is above the person's head while a fiery speech. If he is like me, not noble at all he like a child playing in the street. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Recommended to go. Intelligent and civilized people who do not deserve to laze for his leave their homes and wander in the land was if that was going to live the glorious land he would like the gold. Go on then will you find people like you leave and mean behold. It was because the delicacy comes after trouble. It has been noticed that the stagnant water was not good, and if it flows well water it will return. It has been noticed that the stagnant water was not good, and if it flows well water it will return. Lions will be wild if he got out of the nest eyes also not on target arrow if not separated from hispo. Suppose the sun stops and remains in the shaft was bored neither would any Arab foreign matter. Such as dust scattered gold on the sidelines of Thieland and sandalwood amid forests just as firewood. If this one will want to wander noble he is. Looking if one wants to stay the country he would like the precious gold. Go and self-esteem. I'll go into the ends of the world I'll see what I sought or die overseas. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. If I die then goodness is due to God alone if I survived I would be back in the near future. Respect for people. Who respect other people they will respect him and who is insulted then he will not be honored. The person whose rights are already filled by others, but he would not obey them then who righteous. Morals noble. When I am forgiving and not envious at others he be quiet soul of the hostility is troubling. If I meet my enemy I will honor my mistake can I redeem with my respect to him. I'm putting out a bright face to those who hate was as if my heart was filled with a sense of careful soon. The man is a disease and human disease is approached being away from them so disconnected compassion. End of kindness. What a loss myself as a freelance treasure to the few people who had the authority. To no ability to give to the people who came. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Pad medium myself I did not have was a disaster. Human sciences and taqwa ornaments. Be patient, you will be the bitterness of a teacher because ill mu steadiness because of their many teachers. Anyone who did not want to learn the bitter, sensing he would be foolish during his life, he spoke money coin. To missed his youth studying at the Takba? Him 4 times suppose he was dead. A young man would mean if he beryl mu and voted if these are no youth was no longer significant. Good friend. I enjoy my friends were loyal to me who closed her eyes did not find fault with me. He was always with me in the things I maui lanam also keep me long life and after my death. Who is so it will be met will I shared with her. Goodness pad I shaked my friends and even though a lot of them, but a little taste I believe pad. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Soul miserly. On matters of human wants they're all shut up, do not say. They did not feel sorry, not too generous. Thin hope. If you seek glory from people who are nobler than let you find people who like to build a place of worship. They are like lions guarding her and respect her. Guests both living and dead time. Fluent poet. What is your guest tantrum that would tide to his family if he were asked about inclination and pleasure? What he said, I had passed the Euphrates but I have also felt satisfied whereas raging waves. I then had to climb high mountains, but roads and pit it difficult to achieve narrow until I sought. My poverty will be known by the tenderness of me heart medium unknown dirty water with a glass tube little else they do not know the details of with meaning of glory. I have alone yet I also borrowed pearls I was. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Wearing a crown of beauty as well as talks. The flowers were sown right above the gardens off the hill and silk glittered in the fulcrum of the dew. Eloquent poet like a snake shedding its skin. And poems spoken like saliva and saliva. Disagreeable poets is sometimes easier. Treatment of severe illness for people who are noble. If I really excited. Many events are troublesome youths yet many walks out. The circle stronger narrow even more tenuous first I thought it will not open. Still mean safe. They say that you did not say anything torf you despised I said, holding that it is a key answer ugliness. Not serve bullhead is a privilege also can keep a very good self-esteem once. Do you know about the lion he feared if he was silent, but barking dogs they would be stoned. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Hunch Mufti. Ask the Mufti of Mecca is it permissible legal visiting and hanging out with people who longed? I said I seek refuge in Allah if faith that keeps the caution that chime that area overwhelmed with distress. Jurisprudence and always together Sufism. Be expert jurisprudence and Sufism do not none of them by Allah I advise you. The expert jurisprudence because it is crueler heart was not devoted average Sufi fool how could it be better? Dominate the fool. The ordeal times overwhelming and endless. As excitement also came feasts. He mastered the great people enslaved them he, true you see her she was a slave in the hands of fools. Rejection. They said that I refused I answered not so. Denial is not my mind nor my faith. Without hesitation taste wise leader and day. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Good coach I raised as a leader. If love is a rejection of the leader is only refusal servants. The deceptive man. If dogs become our companion and if we do not see what others see. Because the real dog it will indicate in its place medium creatures reject bad temper will guide forever. Then you go and calm aloof if you lie right that you will always be happy. Off the road is for every living. People want me dead if I die then death is a road that we must travel together. The death of people before me would not harm me and his people after me will not make me eternal. Those who expect the self-extinction and death before my own death is a bad person. Temperament. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Disaster came and few friends. When I'm looking for the face of man and of them all when a friend who can be trusted if a disaster were to happen to me. To change my situation, sometimes difficult, sometimes happy, and called the people there are willing to help me. If I'm mourning I saw them still, but if I have fun they just envy pad. At first I thought I had me hands full. Please human. I have mated numerous human. When I tried my lovers turned out they'd affected like the one time passes, do not leave anything. If I stay away from them the worst of them scolded. If I was sick most of them either did not see me. My lucky if they see trouble them, if they see their unpleasant affliction woe. Getting ready off. A lot of people laugh though death on his head if he knew he would die. Unseen cases because Diwan Imam Shafi'i of difficulty. Who has not given ilmu to live in tomorrow? What the hell you think about the day after? Tomorrow for windfall. This day to prayer. Allah forgives his servants who pray for help. To two people close friend who has always loved her. Until artisans bidding go here and the spread slander their break until forgot his promise. Do not despair, expect the grace of God. If you walk on the many sins like snow and you are worried at torment day. Got her thou right as well as the forgiveness of God, abundant blessings bestowed upon her at. Do not despair in begging mercy of God when the belly of your mother you are a bloodclot. If God willed into everlasting thou go to hell, and God would not inspire monotheism to yourself. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Total submission. If I have food today just so people happy despite the distress of me. Do you think it's hard tomorrow in my heart because tomorrow there was another windfall? My right hand over myself if God wills, adding I had left the free will to follow his will. Prestige and fearful to God. If the words do not look down at the poem that the clerics, undoubtedly my poem's better. Instead of poet labid. I also bold a war instead of all kinds lion. Milu well as family and family Yazid. Had it not been afraid to my Lord I will consider everyone's servant. Human rights. If an already filled my heart feel calm, but if it is neglected deliberately then it will feel heavy. When you are presumed innocent enough not to lie and say you do not know or you feel crummy. Those who meet the neighbors right after his cousin and friend closeness then near and far. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. He lived as the Lord he was touted by others. If has any purpose people are working on it immediately, that you will be screwed angel in paradise. Human chimera. Humans have always wanted to wish fulfilled. But God intended me the desired course. Humans have always talked details and property services medium piety to Allah is the best of their necessary. Venturing ye to seek glory and go camu because there are 5 benefits in traveling. Disappeared right livelihood distress for science and manners well as noble friend. Getting ready for the day off hereafter. O you who screwed world are not a eternal morning and afternoon he walked on Let you leave your love to the world I'd rather be alone because it is more delicious instead of befriending the poor. If you want to stay immortal in heaven let Diwan Imam Shafi'i. You feel frightened by the threat of hell. Future goals high. O you mountains surrounded throw pearls rain. O take aura flooded wells gold your gold. If I live I would not worry, if I'm going to die I'm not worried burial plot. My ideals the ideals of the kings and independent spirit of my soul. My soul will assume that the debasement of infidelity. If I was satisfied with the food during Mui I turned Zaid and Amar. Better than own people bad shoal. If there are no comrades who fear better alone. Because it is more delicious instead of befriending the poor. I own and devotions with a secure feeling was more calm in the heart instead of befriending people suspicious. Values of human are kindness. When the clothes I wear only an entire life penny I sold it was still too expensive compare it throughout my clothes. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. However there are a mental partly when compared with human souls the soul will remain nobler. Damage to the sheath will not damage the sharpness while he can cut if you want it. Conscious and alert. Snake who wrote and confused, and the harm it tell him that a good action is wary. To you expect good days you are not afraid poor destiny. One night you survived, but you then deceived if that night was clean there will be a turbidity. Looking for a reason. Accept the reasons people seek forgiveness from you neither he honest with you or else he lied. The person who satisfy yourself outwardly be you are people who disobey will respect you when you are not around. Manners passing opinion. If you were a noble person or people who have knowledge about descent from the ancients would. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Also later. Then let's face opponents think calmly and sensibly do not be stubborn or feel overbearing. What he gained about slowness behavior and things that rarely happen to be very useful for you. Beware of the deep water and the people who show off that he was superior and those who prideth themselves. The real then its ugliness that being behind it all he intends to break a friends. Spinning time, you win or lose. The period was divided into two and a secure future danger of life is divided into two living clean and dirty life. Have you not noticed that on top of the sea there is a carcass being on the ocean floor are peoples? In the sky there is also a star whose numbers are not spelled out but he never eclipses the exception of the moon and sun. Impact of silence. I trade my silence like always waiting for you and I cannot profit nor loss. The silence of the people also are superior. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Merchandise and merchants from all merchants. Merchandise like my silence I was always waiting for him if I cannot I'm glad I did not lose. The silence of the people also are superior. Merchandise and merchants from all merchants. Receive God destiny. What do you see now that I was not satisfied and receive? But I am satisfied and accept the decisions of Allah. If the days that I went through that I do not meet her into the right as I did not receive, but state was forced. Apologize to redeem error. I've been told that the someone desperate you and underestimate the position of youth is inherently reprehensible. I replied that the someone it coming pad and dim sorry because of apologizing and stating their reason for me is the ransorer. His departure for Egypt. My soul has been forced to immediately go to Egypt, which prevented the land of deserts and barren deserts. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. By God I did not know would be happy or rich I go there or I go to the grave. My soul is already feeling desperate to go to Egyptian obstructed desert land and barren deserts. By God I did not know would be happy or rich I go there or I go to the grave. When I wear a lot of clothes entirely sold penny that was still too expensive compared throughout my clothes. However there are a mental partly when compared with the souls of the human soul that would be glorious. Damage to the sheath does not damage the sharpness long as he can cut any time you want. Sincere friend rarely let you quiet in the course of the present Bethu monk in a monastery that left the crowd of people wash your hands dirty. From the time of human and beware of their love you will gain kindness. Already I examined no one else my friend forever accompanied nor the other. Low ugliness left behind because many are. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Also high because I left a little kindness. Self-esteem. If various impossibility each come hit me then I can reveal what is right as happened. The mouth is like a camel saliva coming from a country and a man like desert Yemen. I do not bandwagon at the opinions of people I have to ask this and that what are their circumstances. But I became a prisoner good heart's tongue would also attract a favor and eliminate the distress. Friend at a sad time. If there is a friend who did not want to help us hard time in comparison he looked like an enemy. For every moment of family and friends purpose only one that is solace. strength done my whole future was shed to look for friends reliable turns out I have to give inspiration. Knew that the country was no longer. Similarly, the population was as if people were not. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Human anymore. Seek forgiveness, and repentance. Thy favor my hope O Allah, most compassionate when lonely and bustling on the morning and afternoon. Every time I move in my sleep I always remember between life and breath. The heart has bestowed you with the knowledge that you are the one holy God and a favor. I have committed the sin you know it is fast approaching when you will not criticize me for the sins I did. Bestowed us by calling people wrong and thou shall not make me a person who does not clean in religion. Let thou be with me both in this world and in the hereafter, especially on days of Mekziyar as mentioned in the letter of Azza. Advise a human. O you who advise humans with the things that you sell O those who provide age at the expense of his life. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Take care for your old age stigmatization from shame because the white color dirt is lightest look. As the carrier of clothing others he will wash them but her own sink in dirt and filth. Do you seek safety, but not the way travel though a boat will not run without water. When you have climbed the deceased could leave everything you will forget you ever climbed good mule or horse. At the end of the day there would not be a treasure no children and Tong's burial plot will make sure her wedding night. Self-esteem. Repeal large teeth replacing river dams repeal lives returns the day yesterday. Cold extremely tense whipping self-tanning animal hides the absence of sunlight. Eat hyena hunting bears spread the love in a land of barren. Blow fireball that ain't sell house at a cheap price once. Selling footwear does not have a friend eating friends with mine boat. Everything was lighter from the free man. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Who stood for arms at the door unlucky. Science as a human pride. Science is a tool of pride then be proud of you and beware ye when pride is gone. Know ye that science cannot be obtained by those who ideals only food and clothes only. Except for the magicians who always watch eat with a dressed more was not dressed. Prepare yourselves to acquire knowledge that a lot of sleep and leave the bad and lays. Hopefully someday when you arrive at Agathering you become a leader with majlis and proud of it. Khilafah Rashidin. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. I bear witness that the resurrection is true. And the power of faith that is clear speech plus a sincere act that could increase or decrease. And that Abu Bakr was Caliph Abu Hafs Umar medium lord always want goodness. I also bear witness to God that Uthman was glorious. Similarly Ali who had his own glory too. They are the leader of the Ummah to follow the instructions of Allah will be angry for people. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Who lack respect for them. Light shine science for leave a immoral way. I complained to Waki on my memorization. Weakness he gives advice so I left immoral. He told me also that the science of light and light of God is not given to people who are immoral. Generous. If you are not generous medium in Tiasbist and his right as you are able to give something or not then what can be expected of you if you aloof though the world was medium strangle you. That period will ask for the dressing against what you give and the ancient traditions will collect debts. Her love to family Prophet al-Bayt, O camel riders from Stop Your Minual. Muhasab and you whisper at the sitting and standing on Care Mosque. At midnight when the Hajj went to Mina. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. They crowded in droves like the overflow of the water of the Euphrates. If loving the family of Muhammad regarded as flow Rafa then watch O jinn and mankind that myself is a follower Rafa. Loving the pious people. I love the pious even though myself not godly wish myself to be obtain intercession of them. I do not like the person who works always immoral although myself together with her like a sinner. Manners advice. In my own early have ye give advice if I was with someone else let me advice. because give advice amid the crowd is theesome as the open secret that nobody likes me here. If you have different opinion and my opinion does not follow this, you must not hurt if you have not been followed advice. Nature including nape correct verry. If the person understands and is verry, he will. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Correct itself and does not correct other people. As with the sick, he was always busy looking for disease suffered, not to disease others. Persons who fear God will return to the beaten path. My knowledge be enough for me if it was useful. Humiliation only happen if we are greedy. Those who fear Allah he returned to the right path, and the birds that fly and soar finally settled back into its original place. La afraid to prayer people should party. Many are wrongdoers. Can you fight? The weak spot was dropped into the abject. Things that had only Islam and devotion as well as prayers were not coated armor. Quite a reason if you're afraid, because people who have been wronged may have survived if he had a prayer as a weapon like a swift arrow. Country al-Kiss. His prayer was immediately fast and quick like an arrow. Country al-Kiss. Tail of the arrow of eyelashes averaged ears became a lubricant. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Denying the goodness. You pretend you love God though often immoral. It is impossible according to a comparison. His prayer was immediately fast and quick like an arrow. Country al-Kiss. Tail of the arrow of eyelashes averaged ears became a lubricant. Denying the goodness. You pretend you love God though often immoral. It is impossible according to a comparison. Suppose that your love is sincere to him in obedience, because you certainly people who love to be obedient to the beloved. Every day God's favor new favors for you. But for thanks to him you always ignore. Desire. Ask the Mufti of Mecca from the family of Hashim, what did he do when loveth? He treated his desire, then conceal his love. He always be patient in everything and always subject. How did he treat medium desire to kill the Diwan Imam Shafi'i? Youth, and every day there was distress that hinders. If she could not wait against the disaster that happens to him, then no use to her addition to just die. Friends of the sincere. In addition to people who do not take care of you because you are forced to, man should leave him and not have a lot of regrets. The people there instead and leave them. No PS liver also has the patience create beloved even hard-hearted. The person whom you love is not necessarily the person you love, and pearl the better is not necessarily good for you. If to us in the herd was not a trait that people who are forced to come will not bring good. No good at all. Companions who betrayed his best friend after she loved, he instead insisted. Hearts. He denied that life had passed, but it shows the secrets of the past. Peace be the world if there is indeed no honest loyal friend and conscious. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Imam Abu Hanifa. State whose population has been decorated with a Muslim Imam Abu Hanifa. He analyzed the legal jurisprudence and traditions like the Psalms verses contained in their text. He had no rival in the world, the eastern and western parts of the world, especially in the land of Kufa. May God always bestow him forever, while his book is still readable. Manners. How can meet swad medium to reach his residence? There are mountain peaks and terrible things. Walking also bare. I also do not have a camel nor have other ways. Medium road was scary. The problem is not with fear. Energetically you cap birds, eat carrion flies. Weak does it but can reap honey. Worship glut. Leave those who want to worship when it comes to you, but when they go they're like Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Wolves fat. Recommended to leave the lowly land. Leaving the country journeyed you ugly donut. You feel uneasy with the separation from family. The original amber oil initially just dirt, but a fool revered. Initially eyeliner trimmer, also a kind of rock on the edge of the road. But when the stone was moved he became an enabling fact. He even perched among eyelashes. diligent-looking science. Learning at night feels bad for me from the get together with his wife and flirting. And I pen scratches on paper writing paper. Feels more sweet from the missed something. And even more delicious of the female voice. Can be annoying in my studies. I was thrilled to waddle solve learning difficulties. It was more I enjoy rather than expect drinks delicious. At night I watch to learn while you at that. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Time to sleep. How would you emulate me? Earnest. If you hear that things that worked in earnest it will bring an outcome, then you shall believe. If you had heard that the prisoners were go drink and dive back, then examine the news. Suppose it depends wealthy business, you will undoubtedly find myself depending on top of the stars in the sky. But those who know he will not get rich, so things are opposite and could not meet. The most difficult creature of God is a person aspiring but little of his fortune. Among the signs of destiny and the existence of the law of God is the presence of the brilliant but needy, and there are fools but rich. Then those who find it easy not obtain merit, also not get the praise he actually gets. A clue. Good fortune can bring things, much good fortune can also open doors closed. Saving secret. If there are people who spill the beans himself and curse others, he was a fool. When people feel cramped his chest against. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. The secrets of others, the more narrowly guarded people are burdened. Secret. The destruction of human character. Only human deceit can be a delicate thing, thorn if they touch it, and be of interest when they see. If you need to hang out with them, then so be like a fire that can burn the thorns. Love family and village page. Fearing people overseas with thieves, subject to that owed and feel humiliated on trust. If he remembered his hometown family and then his heart was pounding like a bird's wings. Persevere in seeking windfall. I put my trust in seeking fortune to God my Creator, and I feel confident that God will give me the fortune pad. The things that became my fortune would not be separated from the pad, even though it was found in deep ocean floor. Thanks to the generosity of God it will be given to me even though my mouth is silent. Does Diwan Imam Shafi'i not say anything? Why and in what way I feel loss of fortune? Bala has divided the creatures all. Not all things to use are reasonable. If the only reason you can gain that you want them, you will not get people who earn a fortune in this world. Stupid, you do not know, but you got to live a fortune is not the first time as a madman auto fortune. What is knowledge? Know by heart. My knowledge is always with me. He useful when I'm practicing. My heart is not just a box lid containers. If I'm at home, so my knowledge the with them. If I'm in the market, then my knowledge on the market as well. The error accidentally. He gives useful, however unintentional. I harm one thing that hurt, including kindness also. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Do ye own? When your skin is scratched, scratching your nails tantrum, then done by you own whole your affairs. If you intend doing something, then find people clicking on ability, not admit people who articulate or clever writing. Eagerness. I noticed that their willingness of wealth less than I held it tightly in terms of willingness. Everything that, not the person who established this sees, nor those who drown it sees. I became a rich man but did not have any money. I can order people like a king. Milk rewarded with polluted water, is an accident when you love someone and that person love another person, or thou intention to someone while that person ugly intends to you. Jurist, leader, and the rich. The expert jurists are people who apply their Diwan Imam Shafi'i knowledge, not one to articulate or clever writing. The leader is a person who leads by morally, not leading the nation or people many. The rich man is one whose situation is quite not the people who have power or that has a lot of treasures. Humans always do act of heresy in religion, his own opinion that was never taught by the Prophet. until they mostly underestimating the rights of Allah they objected to execute the mandate of God. Take yourself to this wonderful. Take care of yourself and serve things that are beautiful and you will live a sturdy vote was complementing good. Be good to you in dealing with people if you feel secluded or hated close friend. When the wind fall now you narrow be patient waiting for tomorrow hopefully the difficulties of life right away from you will go away from you, true her she is small compared to other nations who have knowledge. Pointless friends with wishy-washy person who always follows where the wind blows. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Indeed, many comrades when you count them, but very few of their number were elected. Courtesy Ulama. Whenever I felt there was an extra character in each of that I know my wits any deficiencies. Every my knowledge not get it on away ignorance any additional increases. Value of what is known man. Learn now because nobody is born at a time when intelligent and knowledgeable people are not same as the fool. But the great nation had no knowledge of his right as she is small compared to other nations who have knowledge. But the small nation that has the knowledge, he does great the general rules saw. Learn now because nobody is born at a time when intelligent and knowledgeable people are not same as the fool. But the great nation had no knowledge of his right as she is small compared to other nations who have knowledge. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. But the small nation has the knowledge fact. He was great the general rules saw. Learn now because nobody is born at a time when intelligent and knowledgeable people are not same as the fool. But the great nation had no knowledge of his right as she is small compared to other nations who have knowledge. But the small nation has the knowledge fact. He was great the general rules saw. Science concentration. Obtained with. The person whose life preoccupied with family affairs and others will gain knowledge. The young man whose mind is busy with jobs and other matters also do not acquire knowledge Luqman Hakim until illustrious wisdom alike. Many vehicles that bring glory. Had he been tried by poverty and famalishly he cannot distinguish between vegetable and tree wheat. To avoid the palace king. Kings it is custody matter where they are located so that you do not take shelter under there. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Door in his palace. What can you expect from them that they were angry when they teach when happy with you they are bored? Stay away from them by Allah. You will be glorious because they approached means insulting themselves. Love family profit and khilafah Rashidin. If we assume that Ali nobler than we considered the group Rafa by people who do not know. When I say that Abu Bakr was more glorious and I was stoned by people who are not happy. Then I loved both of them and in favor of both of them until I die and a dirt floor. Love family profit is required. O Prophet, true family home of his love is required of God written in the Quran. Suffice it as a reason to be proud of youth that do not read shale what you will have no mercy. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Incurred by heretical. Humans always do act of heresy in religion. With its own opinion that was never taught by the Prophet, until they mostly underestimating the rights of Allah they objected to execute the mandate of God. The person who fared better name is flying eye until things he had not done touted as Job even though he was born to a simple. But you see people who accumulate demerit ugliness unlucky if other people against him. Exchange of opinions. The length of palm cause I live in seclusion if who want, can be met things are not commensurate padai. I exchanged opinions with the fool and I'll stupidity arguably if he clever character would I fought with intelligence anyway. Weak soft with agitators. I prostrate to any person who incites but tome my weak softness you rarely and infrequently result. How to prostrate to the person who. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Instigator as he always wanted in order to favor you's missing. Nobleness for science, I see the people of knowledge is noble. It remains an opulent sublime name he was also honored by the noble. They followed each time like a shepherd boy who followed his sheep. Those who know his life will not be happy. You will not know where is halal or haram. 3 problems cause illness. There are 3 problems that damage healthy humans and cause people to become ill: is always drinking alcohol, long time when intercourse, and eat when the stomach is full. Do so pearl among the shepherd animals, and I'm stacking problems cluttered to shepherd. If I waste the will of the poor in a village, then I would not be wasting. Their words are clear and me stomach rumbling and felt chest pain. If Allah makes it easy and with his mercy and he happen to be a man of science, then would I call it useful and I use their pleasure, and if they do not, then science will I keep. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Giving knowledge to fool means squander it, and hinder the learning means unjust deeds. Guard yourselves is told, then you will keep himself. Take care of yourself from unlawful acts. Your wife will keep her and turn away from the shall things are inappropriate for Muslims. Indeed, adultery debt when you borrow your wife who pays. Listen to this. Altruistic and generous. I donate what lies even though myself feel hungry. But in the face I showed him my friend as if I were rich, so they do not know my situation. Truth of her I had no, but to God I pitied his indigence. True, because God knows better my situation on. People are then Godish honored his brother would be sullied his honor. Oh, those who dishonor the others and decide the kinship that your life was not glorious. If you are an independent and a descendant of Diwan Imam Shafi'i, a noble person, then you would not tarnish the honor of others. Person who will weigh scales weighed even though the walls, if you knew, then heed this. I have tried, you too have tried my nature. You do not need to bother you because I already knew clearly. Humble and ask help. With a humble attitude in the face of majesty, with all the secrets that vague I do not know. With bowed head and clicking my humility told Mick, lift my hand please, grace and mercy. As my husnam you, which partly means the great nature, your nature that needs explanation. Many words. On the first treaty word, am I not your Lord? With people who have not known, then known by his name. Give us a drink comfort, O God, when watered. His lover he would never thirst again. Prepared to leave the world and the hereafter. When my heart and my mind worried, Hargaret, hope I will make it as a ladder to reach your Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Forgiveness. I thought great my sin, but after I compare forgiveness of my Lord is greater. You always forgiving to the people's guilt, he gives you always generous forgiveness. If you do not, because you do not fight the obedient servant of the devil, because the devil has misled Adam your choice. So because God was the one who learned it. Well, flowing tears if I made a mistake. When the night was dark he stood alone for fear of Allah. His tongue very fluently when his Lord called Asma, but for other calls he felt foreign. He recalled the time his last and the things I do with it do not understand. Throughout the day it is always difficult when the night was dark, so it was fresh and happy. He prayed, oh my love, I hope you have been. The focus of the person applying for grant application is not the one who gave you instructions, fortune and iPad. You still give a favors to myself. Human servers are science. One of the advantages of those who learned it. Diwan Imam Shafi'i may call people into science server. Then a knowledgeable person obliged to keep their knowledge as they take care of blood and honor. Knowledgeable person who gave the mandate to the people who are not his field, he is a fool by the relevant real action, and it was cruel upon science. 6 requirements for obtaining knowledge. Fade me, you will not gain knowledge except with 6 conditions. I will explain it clearly to you. Namely, intelligence, wishes, sincerely, supplies, accompanying teacher and long time. Respect for yourself. I am satisfied and happy with the food in my day and look after themselves by acts of contempt. It was for fear people will sting that so and so has advantages, so and so is the other. I need not ask who, I do not care even though it hurt me. The person who saw me with negative glasses, he will see it with negative glasses. People looked at me with perfect vision, I will. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Look perfect with glasses. Result of oral. O mankind! Keep your tongue, do not get it, bite the snake. Oral reasons. Many of the dead killed by his verbal worries before he feared his friends. Bala that comes from ourselves. We berate our times, we are guilty. Time ethorf, we are not guilty because we are the oneso are guilty. Age is no sin that we swore we make. He suppose he could talk, he would berate us. There is no wolf meat going tomatulem, but we humans will one another. Reply is suitable job. They strengthen and old problems again, the fact that soon it will disappear. If they prefer, they realized they shrink then. They squeeze will forever hardships and trials. They were told by the state that is suitable replies, speak it and do not blame the times. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. God's will. What do you want to happen? Even though I do not want, what I want does not happen if you do not want. You have created servants because you have doc know your knowledge, and in the world there are young and old. They have a pesky, some are happy, some are bad, and some are good. Which is awarded to you that this was not your place and that it does not. You are all one, and people have I. If you want to live safe from destruction and perfect religion and you succeed, do not let your mouth speak bad, for you are all one, and the mouth. Your eyes berate yourself if they leave and say points, others also have eyes. Mix well, forgive your opponents can also be ats, but they're in a good way. Suspicion. Always your assumption, that ugly suspicion. Because it included a large defamation. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. It is only if people starve let things good and good speech. Both believer. Between the servant of God have a smart brain. They see the world, but once they know that life is not a homeland, they consider this world as sea and pious deeds as the boat. Way we use weighing. Weigh the people who weighing to weigh what you wear and what you wear where to weigh. The people who come to you come out with him, and the person who hurt resist him. People who think that you underneath then leave him and despise him. And get back to you, Lord, for all that you get comes from your Lord also. Leave sadness. At night time sleep, there is no duty to think of things that will happen or not. Eliminate grief accordance with your ability, because if you're always hard you might heal. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. God has borne me all the needs which have. Then God will bear me everything needs to come. Victory achieved with willingness. I defeated the greed crushing calm my heart, because the heart will always feel greedy despicable gun. I started the taste willingly, having previous Lydia's willingly esteem preserved. If greed has been lodged in the liver was so abject a matchless. Silence is good. No good spoke at length. If you already know about the news source, a youth better still from the talk is not in place. For the young man whose sign visible a character carries on his forehead. Death lover. I will wait a fate that comes pad I imagine medium. It should come if I gave it my love will die before me first. Death will trouble myself. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Kindness. I saw on my birthday with a full goodness as if you were the original. On my birthday then let me not take the rotten award for life mouthful please me to death. Cost of moral goodness. Do you bear a favor given by others to you where the good? Choose create yourself and be patient cause east shield. Goodness of people to enter in the heart morally heavier from the spear thrust. Condolences. My condolences to you not because of my own greedy to my everlasting but because of religious rules, but as a rule, those who received condolence and gave condolences neither would eternal alt off they lived until the time. Science of the most well. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. All sciences other than the Quran are fusnj except hadith and fiqh. True science is based on the history of the prophet. Addition is a temptation. Satan. Your craziness was crazy, and you will not find a physician to treat disease healer. To them I despise myself, and thanks to them myself, noble soul, that you do not despise, not going to be glorious. Love Ali, Hassan, and Fatima. If in a gathering known second name his son Ali, Hassan and Fatima holy, then there is the opinion that it is superfluous because it is story fair, said group Rafa. The air then I have no responsibility to God top people who founded Rafa schools, era schools that love Fatima. Leaving morons. Go. Leave the imbecile, what he said, just that alone knows. Euphrates, it will not be dangerous out, or there are dogs who drowned in situ. Diwan Imam Shafi'i. Willingness is weak. Bore bitter fate of the odium, it is weak. Average anger raises error. I will not respect people who do not respect me. I was not going to care about people who do not care about me. If you come near, my love was approaching you. If you away from me, I was away from you. We both can live alone, not necessary to keep the others. If we died together, then each more does not require the other. Ordinary people's lives and royalty. I saw the donkey at what he liked, and saw the lions are hungry and thirsty forever. I saw the nobles were living in poverty. I see the ordinary people live lavish. It is a destiny. The person who knows changing times and circumstances, he would patiently face the trials and will not complain. 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 Patiently face the trials.